An Algerian judoka has been suspended and sent home after withdrawing from the Olympics when his draw set him on course to compete against an Israeli competitor. Before his suspension, Fethi Nourin, who was due to take part in the men's under 73 kg division, said his support for the Palestinian cause made it impossible for him to compete against Tohar Budbul, who he was due to meet in the second round. "We worked a lot to reach the Olympics," said Nourin, who was due to compete in the opening round on Monday, "but the Palestinian cause is bigger than all of this." The International Judo Federation, IGF, responded by suspending Nourin and his coach, Amar Beniklev, who on Friday said, "We were not lucky with the draw." In a statement, the IGF said the behavior of both Algerians was in total opposition to our philosophy. The IGF has a strict non-discrimination policy, promoting solidarity as a key principle, reinforced by the values of judo. It added that the disciplinary commission would decide on further sanctions beyond the Olympic Games. But for those who don't know what judo is and why the situation happened, let me describe them shortly. First, what is judo and what is IGF? Judo was created in 1882 by Jigoro Kano, who initially created the martial art with purpose as self-defense, but as time has gone on, judo is recognized as a sport and as an educational discipline. Judo started to evolve as a sport in the beginning of the 20th century, when the Western world got introduced to the Japanese culture and the martial art itself started to spread through France, Germany, and all Japanese immigrant communities. The first international event was held in Germany in 1932, and the first European Championship was held in France in 1951. The events of World War II held back the evolution of the sport, but after some time, the world had somewhat healed, and judo was introduced as an Olympic sport in the Tokyo Olympics in 1964. That was the first time weight classes were introduced in competitions, and the amount of different classes has increased since then. The first women's judo was brought into international competitions was in 1988, and it has been an Olympic sport since the 1992 Barcelona Olympic Games. The International Judo Federation, IGF, was founded in July 1951. The IGF was originally composed of judo federations from Europe plus Argentina. Countries from 4 continents were affiliated over the next 10 years. Today, the IGF has 200 national federations on all continents. There are over 20 million people around the globe who practice judo, according to the IGF. But how did this one sport affect international relations? As the sport's international governing body has claimed, judo acted as a catalyst in helping Israel establish diplomatic relations with the United Arab Emirates. In an editorial piece published a day after an agreement between Israel and the UAE to establish full diplomatic relations was announced, the International Judo Federation cites a sequence of events at the World Judo Tour event in Abu Dhabi in 2018 as helping to inspire the agreement. The IGF say that prior to the Grand Slam event there was an unwillingness to either sound the national anthem of Israel or wave its flag if one of its athletes were successful on the international stage. In the build-up to the event, IGF President Marius Wieser and Treasurer Nasser Al-Tamimi of Emirati descent negotiated and mediated to ensure the Israeli team received equal treatment and recognition during the competition. Wieser and Al-Tamimi negotiated with the Emirati authorities, and Al-Tamimi helping broker negotiations between the Emirati authorities and the IGF. The pair's efforts were rewarded on October 28, 2018, when Israeli judoka Sagi Muki won gold in the under 81 kg category. Organizers invited then Israeli Sports Minister Miri Regev to hand over the medal to Muki. Regev accepted the invitation, and in what the IGF reflects was a historic moment, the Israeli anthem sounded in recognition of Muki's triumph. The IGF describes the playing of the Israeli anthem as an emotional moment, which reduced both Regev and Wieser to tears. To look at this issue from a political perspective, we can use the lens of realism. Realism is an international relations theory that highlights the cutthroat and competitive relations between countries. If a country is to be considered a realist, it has to follow these four principles. The first one, the nation state is the principal actor in international relations. In other words, we can say that realism views the state as the main character that is the most powerful. Other states are viewed as side characters, who the main state can influence in many ways, at least in theory. This can be widely seen in authoritarian countries like China or even Russia, where the state holds absolute power over the people. They often try to threaten other states with their actions to remind them of their power. For example, the war between Russia and Ukraine, or China trying to gain control over the South China Sea. Number 2. The state is a unitary actor. National interests, especially in times of war, lead the state to speak and act with one voice. The state is seen as a hive mind entity in which everyone sticks together and puts national interests above everything else. This is true especially if there is a conflict between states. Number 3. In realism, leaders need to make rational decisions in the interest of the nation. Any decision that is not rational results in the weakening of the state and is thus seemed irrational. Number 4. States want to live in the context of anarchy, where no one is able to help them but themselves. Therefore, they start to make rational decisions that will only benefit themselves and not anyone else. The Algerian judoka refused to fight his Israeli opponent because he supported Palestine instead of Israel in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a conflict that has lasted since the mid-20th century. The IGF was against any political activities in the Olympics and issued a ban to the Algerian judoka. The fact that the Algerian refused to fight the Israeli on the tatami explains how realist Algeria is. He did not even consider fighting him based solely on political reasons, a hive identity. He viewed his state as the main character in the situation and believed that it can have an impact on other states. The 29th Summer Olympics were supposed to be held in Tokyo, Japan, in 2020. The city edged out Istanbul and Madrid in the selection process and was set to host the Games for the first time since 1964. The outbreak of COVID-19 set the event back a lot and made a big impact on the event itself and on events leading up to the Olympic Games. Many qualification events were held in different locations, and in the end, the event was postponed to 2021. There were many controversies regarding the postponement, for example rumors that the government wants to cancel the Games, but at the end, the Games were held behind closed doors and almost 1 million tickets had to be refunded by the Japanese government. The 2020 Olympic Games saw 5 new sports added into the competition. These sports were as follows: baseball and softball, karate, sport climbing, surfing and skateboarding. All of these events were included for these Olympics only and have not yet been established as official Olympic sports. Arab-Israeli relations should be considered based on the theory of Israel's wars with Muslim countries. Arab-Israeli conflicts, series of military conflicts fought between several Arab nations and Israel. So, what happened to each athlete and how did it affect the relations between Algeria and Israel? Well, the incident had many consequences and not all of them were negative. On one hand, the IGF has been embroiled in battles to stamp out discrimination and support Israel's right to compete in the sport in recent times. Nurin's position completely contradicts the philosophy of the International Judo Federation. The IGF has a strict policy of non-discrimination, promoting solidarity as a core principle, underpinned by the values of judo, and the IGF said that they have already received a temporary disqualification and an investigation has been launched. This implies that the Federation does not support such aggression and as a result, other countries may feel more protected from intolerance. On the other hand, this incident also had a negative impact. Relations between these countries have been very tense for many decades and are full of conflicts and intolerance. But the actions of the Algerian athlete have aggravated the situation even more. This incident violated the sporting principles not only of judo, but also the Olympics. Previously, such cases of manifestation of open intolerance in the world sports arena were and remain nonsense. We trained a lot and prepared. Nourin himself explained the decision to Algerian television. The news about the draw was like a bolt from the blue. My decision is final. I'm not going to get my hands dirty. My support for the people of Palestine does not allow me to do so. So in the other words, the Algerian athlete has once again shown that sport can be used as a platform for protest and political propaganda. Some countries, such as Iran and Egypt, also expressed support for the actions of Algeria, which contributed to a further aggravation of relations.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and leave a like.